The Apple Tree and the Farmer. Once upon a time, there lived a farmer in a village, beside a forest. He had a big garden that had an old apple tree and other plants, trees and beautiful flowers. When the farmer was a little boy, he spent much of his time playing with the apple tree. Those days, the apple tree had given the choicest of apples to him. However, as time passed, the apple tree became old and stopped bearing fruits. Now that the farmer was not getting any apples from the tree, he decided that the tree was useless. Therefore, he decided to cut the tree and use its wood to make some new furniture. He felt that since the tree was old and huge, he did not have to cure it, and it would make great furniture. He forgot that as a boy, he had spent his entire childhood climbing the tree and eating its apples. Now the apple tree was home to several little animals in the neighborhood. This included squirrels, sparrows and a huge variety of birds and insects. When the farmer took his axe and began chopping the tree, all the little animals came rushing down. They all began to plead with the farmer. They gathered round the farmer and said, "Please don't cut the tree. We used to play with you when you were small, under this very tree. This is our home and we have no other place to go." The farmer was adamant. He raised his axe and the commotion grew. "Please don't chop and destroy my home and kids," cried the squirrel. "Please don't chop and destroy my nest," cried the little birds. "Please don't cut the apple tree," cried the grasshopper. The farmer, however, forgot his childhood and his animal friends. He began to chop the tree harder. All the little animals became desperate, and wanted to protect the apple tree at any cost. The little animals said, "We will sing for you when you are toiling away in the fields. We will look after your little boy. He will not cry, but instead will be entertained and happy. You will like our songs and will not feel tired." However, their cries for help fell on deaf ears. Despite all their requests, the farmer continued to chop down the tree. All of a sudden, he noticed something shiny. On inspecting it, he realized that it was a beehive, full of honey. He took a little and put it in his mouth. The taste of the honey woke up the little boy in him. Suddenly, the memories of his childhood came rushing back. The honey tasted so good that he wanted more. It brought a sense of happiness to him. He smiled and exclaimed, "This tastes amazing." Realizing the change in the farmer's attitude, the little animals spoke in unison. The bee said, "I will always provide you with sweet honey." The squirrel said, "I will share any amount of nuts that you want." The birds cried, "We will sing as many songs as you want." Finally, the farmer realized his folly, and put down his axe. He understood that the tree was home to many lovely animals that provided him with so many things. He wanted his little boy to have the childhood that he had. The farmer realized that the apple tree was not that fruitless. The little boy in him saved the apple tree. He threw away the axe and said to the little creatures, "I promised that I would never cut this tree. I have realized my mistake and you all can now live in peace and harmony." The little creatures thanked the bee profusely. If the farmer had not found the beehive, they would have been homeless by now. They continued living happily in the old apple tree. Moral: each and every living thing in nature is of some use. We should not destroy any living thing.
A Fox and a Crow. Once a fox was very hungry and roaming around in search of food. Luckily, it saw a crow on a tree with a morsel in its beak. The fox wanted that bit of food very badly. So, it flattered the crow about its beauty and its lovely voice. The foolish crow believed what the fox said and started singing. The bit of food that it held in its beak fell to the ground and the fox ate it up. The fox laughed and said, "I may have praised your voice, but I said nothing about your brain."
Once upon a time, in a faraway kingdom, there lived a wise and fair king named King Arthur. He had brought peace to his kingdom, and his people loved him dearly. One day, a traveling merchant told the king of a magical flower that could grant eternal life. King Arthur, thinking of his people, decided to find the flower. He set out on a journey with his trusted advisor. Their journey was fraught with danger. They faced fierce creatures, crossed treacherous mountains, and overcame many obstacles. Finally, after months of traveling, they came to a secret valley where the magical flower bloomed. The king carefully picked the flower and brought it back to his kingdom. Instead of using it for himself, he had a potion made and shared it with all his people, ensuring their health and well-being for years to come. His kingdom prospered, and King Arthur ruled for many happy years, forever remembered as a truly wise and caring king.
Foolish monkeys. Before several centuries, there was a very large, dense and dark forest. A group of monkeys arrived at the forest. It was winter season, and the monkeys struggled hard to survive the freezing cold nights. They were hunting for fire to get warm. One night, they saw a firefly and considered it a dab of fire. All the monkeys in the group shouted, "Fire, fire, fire, yeah, we got fire." A couple of monkeys tried to catch the firefly and it escaped. They were sad as they could not catch the fire. They were talking to themselves that they couldn't live in the cold if they didn't get the fire. The next night, again they saw many fireflies. After several attempts, the monkeys caught a few fireflies. They put the fireflies in a hole dug in the land and tried to blow the flies. They blew the flies very hard without knowing the fact that they were flies. An owl was watching the activities of the monkeys. The owl reached the monkeys and told them, "Hey, those are not fire. They are flies. You won't be able to make fire from it." The monkeys laughed at the owl. One monkey replied the owl, "Hey old owl, you don't know anything about how to make fire. Don't disturb us." The owl warned the monkeys again and asked them to stop their foolish act. "Monkeys, you cannot make fire from the flies. Please hear my words." The monkeys tried to make fire from the flies. The owl told them again to stop their foolish act. "You are struggling so much, go take your shelter in a nearby cave. You can save yourself from the freezing cold. You won't get fire." One monkey shouted at the owl and the owl left the place. The monkeys were simply doing the foolish activity for several hours and it was almost midnight. They were very tired and realized that the words of the owl were correct and they were trying to blow a fly. They sheltered themselves at the cave and escaped from the cold. We may go wrong many times and should seek and accept the advice, suggestions provided by others. Thank you for watching my video. A lion and a rabbit. Once a lion said to all the animals in the forest that if one of them will come to him as his meal for the day, he would not kill anyone else among them. All the animals agreed to this. One day, it was a rabbit's turn and it took quite long reaching the lion. The lion asked it the reason for being late. It acted wisely and said, "Sir, I was stopped by another lion, who was claiming to be the king of the jungle and he wants to meet you." "So do I," said the furious lion. The rabbit took the lion to a well and showed him his reflection in the water of the well. The lion jumped into the well to catch his opponent and drowned. How intelligently, the rabbit got rid of the wild beast. Thanks for watching my video. A merchant and his donkey. One beautiful spring morning, a merchant loaded his donkey with bags of salt to go to the market, in order to sell the salt. The merchant and his donkey were walking along together. They had not walked far when they reached a river on the way. Unfortunately, the donkey slipped and fell into the river. As it scrambled up the bank of the river, it noticed that the bags of salt loaded on his back had become lighter. There was nothing the merchant could do except return home, where he loaded his donkey with more bags of salt. As they reached the slippery riverbank again, the donkey fell into the river, this time deliberately. Thus the salt was wasted again. By now the merchant knew the donkey trick. He wanted to teach the animal a lesson. As he returned home the second time with the donkey, the merchant loaded bags of sponges on its back. The duo set out on their trip to the market a third time. On reaching the river, the donkey very cleverly fell into the water again. But now, instead of the load becoming lighter, it became heavier. The merchant laughed at the donkey and said, "You foolish donkey, your trick has been discovered. You should know that you cannot fool anyone too many times." Thank you for watching my video.
Once upon a time, in a sunny meadow, lived a little brown bear named Barnaby. Barnaby loved to play in the forest, but he was also very shy. One day, he heard some faraway music. It sounded so lovely that Barnaby slowly started to follow it. He walked through the tall grass and past the big trees. He saw other animals, but he kept walking towards the music. Finally, he reached a clearing and saw a group of bunnies playing instruments. They welcomed Barnaby, and soon he was tapping his paws along to the music. Did you like that story, or would you prefer a different one? How big do you want the next story to be? Once upon a time, there was a little chick named Chico. Chico loved to explore. One day, he found a bright yellow ball. He pushed it and pecked at it. He was so happy to have a new toy. Do you want to hear another story?